Oh, greetings. Greetings to my fellow Strat-O-Matic and other gaming enthusiasts. This is Jeffrey Guterman, and I want to welcome you to the Strat-O-Matic network. I was a bit depressed, or moderately depressed, earlier today due to some circumstances going on in my life, and I still played Game 7 of the 1969 Strat-O-Matic World Series between the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Mets. And, well, it didn't turn out the way I wanted, and it was a bit of a bummer, but looking back, it was a great series. And it's only unfortunate, not horrible. Hello, John, that I was depressed. But I made an accomplishment. There's a certain medicine I take, and I waited till 6 p.m., 5:58 to be technical, before I ingested it, and all for the better. I thought today I could do a couple things, give you an update, and I don't want to tell you anything about the 69 World Series because some of you may still want to watch it, and I recommend go to the playlist, and it's listed there from Game 1 through 7, and I believe I got it in order. And so I invite you because it was arguably the best, meaning closest, World Series that I've ever played. And if you compared it to real world, it would have to be up there with among the greatest World Series ever played due to the closeness of it. And even the final game was a one-run ball game. So although I got depressed the last couple broadcasts on it, particularly depressed, I was able to get through it. And good news is I get a call from my son every day, and this call was a real good call. That's all I can say. It was a real good call, and he's 29 years old. Of course, our relationship is different than when he was 9 years old, and so you have to adapt. You have to develop, both he and myself, in a relationship to keep it good. Now, the main focus of this broadcast is intended to introduce you to my next project. And my next project is a Strat-O-Matic replay of the 1962 World Series. The San Francisco Giants versus the New York Yankees. Both great teams. And of course, the Yankees won it in 7 games. And the famous line drive hit with 2 outs, hit by McCovey, ended it in a semi-dramatic fashion. But it went 7 games. We'll see how this one goes. And I plan to start that tomorrow. And I'd like to start it at 1 p.m. So I think I can get better consistency of people. I know you early birds are special people, but I'm going to have to plan it tomorrow I'm also in the process of uploading JFK media. I have a fascination with John F. Kennedy, and by the way, yes, I am talking off the top of my head. I'm talking not on my feet. Well, I'm on one of my feet. I'm sitting in a chair, but metaphorically, I don't have a list of my agenda here today. Just to talk, relate, provide an update or two, and then I wrote setup. I may or may not, and it's gonna, if I do begin to set it up, I will have to pull out a brand new Form B score sheet pad, a brand new one. And you know, if the series ends on an even number, like 4 games, that's unlikely, 4 straight, 6 games, then there's no waste of a sheet. You know that? By the way, have I shown you my stockpile of score sheets? I enjoy using the score sheets that Strat-O-Matic provides. Here's my stockpile right here. 6 pads. And you get 200 games a pad. So that's 1,200 games. You know, no, I think I would like to jot down a note or two, just to keep myself going. You know, it's funny, I just had a thought process of something that I wanted to talk about, and unfortunately, I thought to myself for a second how silly it is that I could rewind the YouTube and retrieve what it is that I had said, but well, we will look at these teams. I think that's something I'll like to do tonight, leisurely, just look at these teams. And then start looking at the roster score sheets provided by Baseball Reference and seeing what we might have in store. I'd like to bring your attention to some programming that I have coming up on the channel. If you go to well, you're here, so you must know how to get here. But if you do go to my channel, like everyone else, I have the opening page. And here's the current live stream. And that will end up in past live streams. Here are my most popular videos. These are my upcoming live streams, which I'm going to be talking about. Here are just all videos, and this is my President John F. Kennedy collection. It's not categorized. There are press conferences, speeches, addresses, remarks, even testimony, HSCA, House Select Committee on Assassinations testimony. There's lots of different things. What I don't have is much of anything on the assassination. I do have Air Force One communications for 2 hours, and I have police radio dispatch at the time of the assassination. And if you click on that, you see there's 365 videos right now. And then I'll break these up, because you could break these up into speeches, and that would include addresses and remarks, press conferences, and I think there are some other categories. Here's the Strat-O-Matic 68 replay, and you want to know some, oh no, now I remember what I wanted to say. I really wanted to say this. I wanted to get this out to you. I think we all tend to go through phases, go through cycles. I finished a 1969 replay. I started it shortly after the pandemic, and I believe it was 4.5 to 5 years later that I finished it. I only started broadcasting games in late July of the 1969 schedule. And I started a 62 replay, and I started a, and it was okay, but it just didn't do enough for me. And I don't think anything can compare to 1969. But I decided to go for 68, and I've been doing that, and I don't know, that's not quite doing it for me either. It's better than 62 though. And I decided, by the way, I also got a 2021 set, and I played, I think, 3 games, maybe 6 games, I don't know. And the last one was just hideous. It was awful to play. Too many, I never thought I'd say too many players. And you have to search around so much. And I know so few of the players that it really, so I may not purchase 2024 when it comes out in February. Instead, I might go for 1970. Am I willing to throw another $80 or whatever it costs with the godforsaken prices of shipping that they have? I've been doing interviews, and if you go to my Strat-O-Matic section here, you'll see there's a section just called Strat-O-Matic Interviews, and this is a list of playlists. Actually, this Strat-O-Matic section is a list of playlists, and it can save space. So Strat-O-Matic Interviews, and I have put them in order from most recent to past. And the 2 I have up are the ones that are coming up here, and I want to bring your attention to them, and I sure would be grateful If you found it in your way to either be there live and in the live text, or uh, go look at it on demand anytime you want and make a comment in the comments section. The first one is scheduled for this Sunday, January 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it's going to be with JC Sports Replays. I really want you to get into it. And I had come up with a tripartite menu for my interviewees to select from mild to medium to strong. And that means, can mean a lot of different things. What it means to me exactly, you may not know. Even JC Sports Replays. My recommendation is definitely don't go with mild. And if you're willing to try to make this experience real, go for strong. And I may ask you things, and you always have the right to decline to answer. Some of it, people may say, is irrelevant to the topic at hand, Strat-O-Matic and other gaming, but I would come back to suggest that Strat-O-Matic and other gaming deserves a full claim of our lives, meaning a full claim of the experiences. So who you are, what you do, what you like, what you dislike, major challenges and opportunities that you've had in life are all something that I'm interested in for Strat-O-Matic gamers. And other gamers. So put it on your calendar. I have notification on. Oh, I sure do recommend that you put your notification on. And there you have it. It's Jeffrey Guterman. Interviews JC Sports Replays about Strat-O-Matic and other gaming. And that is Sunday. I'll have a great time. You've had a chance to wake up, take out the pet, the family pet perhaps, fetch the newspaper, if that was something you used to do, have some coffee, tea, or whatever you like to do, and take care of some business. And then at 11 a.m. you curl up for the live broadcast on the Live Together feature. And I will be interviewing JC Sports Replays. Some people say the job of an interviewer is to put their interviewee at ease. And I want to be really honest with you. And this has nothing to do with JC Sports Replays in particular. I'm talking in general. That is not high on my list of qualities I try to emulate when interviewing people. Putting them at ease. I mean, I want it to be within the parameters of norms, of social norms, so I don't want to make them feel uneat ease. What I want to do, among other things, is make them think about things that they may not have thought about before. And I want them to talk about it. And I want to try to encourage them to talk about it. And by the way, if you're listening, and you have a smartphone and you have a YouTube account, by all means, please. I'm collecting interviews about Strat-O-Matic and gaming. And some people are so shy they don't want even their face shown. And I respect that. So you can turn, you push a button, you push a little thing, a toggle, and you can go both sides now. And you can show the world from both sides now. And so put it on whatever you want. Put it on a, if I wanted, like, I'm putting it on this right now. Here's me now. A little shy. But yeah, I'm a real person. So there it is, one more time. Sunday, January 12 at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. Then next Saturday at 2 p.m., which I think is really a prime time, and I am looking forward to this. Jeffrey Guterman interviews Sportsman Z, Bob Zuhlke, about Strat-O-Matic and other gaming. And he, I have a pretty strong admiration for Bob. Especially after seeing some one of his recent messages, which I'd rather not get into right now. But Bob Zuhlke is one of the most avid, enthusiastic gamers, and I think I've seen him play other games, but he does football, he does Strat-O-Matic baseball, of course, but he also does a lot of computer version. I think it's the computer version of football and baseball. He does Strat-O-Matic, I believe, and he gets it right on the screen. And that's, it's just a little barrier that I have. I don't quote unquote know how to do that. I might ask him. It's going to be among my questions. How did he get so technically proficient? And can he give me any tips on doing any of that? So again, that's going to be primetime Saturday, 2 p.m. And as you can see, none of these conflict with Spokane Steve, and who usually shoots down at 4:30. I'm looking to take a 1 p.m. slot. And now I remember the thing I wanted to talk about. Bob Zuhlke, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. On Strat-O-Matic and other gaming, he'll be here live. Let's get back to what I'm doing these days. I started a 62 replay. I abandoned it. I should say I paused it Can't we say that these things can be perpetually uh, paused? And I started 1911, 1964. I completed 69. Started 62, started 68, and even started 2021, believe it or not. But not very, for the only one, 69 was the winner. And I don't think there'll be another 1969 in my life. I don't think there'll be a replay, because even when I got tired of it, I liked it. When I got tired of the players, then I would reconnect to them. And, you know, some of you may remember a lot of the players that there were in my replay. You know, there was something I felt that, I don't want to say I learned it. I constructed a reality in my mind when I played the 69 World Series between the Mets and the Orioles, just how great a team the 69 Orioles are. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing came to my mind. The Mets don't have very good pinch hitters, because if it's a Shamsky, then you got a right-handed pitcher. And if you have a left-handed pitcher, supposedly Shamsky is not used, but I used him. I used him in this series in Game 7. Because his card against lefties looks pretty good to me. And I usually don't game the cards. So I'm doing all these replays. You know, I'm doing pausing. 2021 is a monstrosity. Absolute monstrosity. I see that we have a message here from JC Workplace. JC, I'm going to read any questions people have here, and I have more to be doing tonight. And when I say set up, I kind of use that figuratively. I think having the teams out is set up, and I have the rosters and the ballpark effects. I'm already set up, but I may augment it a little. Good evening, JC Sports Replay, who will be, as we were talking earlier, interviewed this Sunday at 11 a.m. Jeff, do you think doing the statistics takes away from your enjoyment? ? You seem to have more fun when you were just counting home runs and wins. Wow. I did home runs and I did wins. You're right. It's an interesting, the way I'm going to answer that, JC, is yes and no. And first I'm going to give you the yes. It's a great question, and you've answered it yourself. I enjoyed it, and it's like a Zen kind of thing. I was at one with myself and the replay. settling on home runs. And I say Hot Dog Jackson probably got MVP, okay, and wins. But I want to tell you that the extra work going into it, the answer no to you would be the extra work is worth it because I'm only doing limited statistics. I'm not freaking, I don't give a rat's ass about how many putouts Mark Belanger has. Okay. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So what I have settled on, and it's working beautifully for hitters, at bats, hits, home runs, RBIs, average. And batting average can be computed when you want. I can't do it too often because it's time consuming. If I had an Excel capability, but I'm okay with that. And it's more no than yes. I'm really getting into your question, JC, and I hope you have a follow-up statement or question. What I really appreciate about your question is that it allows me to clarify my own thinking and see that the difference in the statistics keeping is not that great, but what was great in my mind, my little dirty mind, the big difference was I was doing the home runs and RBIs. It happened for the 69 replay. We go back again to, I loved that replay because the Orioles and Twins, that was great. I thought Atlanta winning like they did in real world was cool. And I think maybe the coolest thing about the 69 replay, despite the fact that it's 69, that's the year the Mets won it all. That's the year that the mound was lowered, and lots of pitchers still did great. That's the year when we put a human being on the moon and returned them back safely. And when we do go to the moon, and we're going soon as a precursor to going to Mars, and we will go to Mars. I may not be alive, but we're going, and we're going to put people on them. But when we go to the moon, you've got to pick the most diverse people you can pick. I'm not into, I just, see if you can make it a 4-person team, that first mission. Maybe more can go. Anyway, I got off a tangent. Back to your question, it was 69, so I enjoy the format I'm doing now. It does take about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes to do. If you don't like it, don't do it. Okay? And so I don't have to do it, but that's just an amazing thing when you have, I was just reading how Richmond's annual newsletter, which is available right on Strat-O-Matic's website at the bottom. They should have that shit at the top. It's a very 2000-ish website. But nevertheless, if it works, uh, but in his message, he said the 1970 set is coming out. And what I like about 70 is it is the year that follows 69. So maybe I'll drop another $80 and pay the whatever it is, god awful. I hope they come with a lot of cards. I hope they come with additional players. I don't think I could stand that if they don't come up with the because I have unsubscribed from the app. But does that answer your question, JC? And I'd be more than glad to answer any other questions people have. I think what I'm going to talk about right now, though, is the thing I had forgotten, and then I remembered it. Didn't bring it up, but then very shortly after that, I wrote it down, and it's written down with a note: short projects. I'm getting, a little bit, with both 62 and 68. I get a little bored, and that's what gave me the idea of doing the 69 World Series. After all, the Pirates beat the Orioles in my replay. And JC comes back and he says, I suppose I'm looking for a reason between your immersion in 1969 versus 62 or 68. And it's a good question. I think, and I have 64. I think I ascribe a significance to 69. And who knows, how could I, begin to tell you that the Mets won the division. They beat the Braves 3 straight. They beat the Orioles 4 straight. They lost the first game, but then they beat them 4 straight. McCovey hit 45 home runs. Killebrew 49, I believe. You had Ted Williams managing the Senators. You had the first year of divisional play. And you had people that we saw and have now seen in the 68 replay who were on some of these expansion teams, like Big Mac Jones. Is that his name? Big Mac. What the hell is his name? Big Mac. And lots of people. Gene Broadbender, Jim Bouton, finding his way in Seattle and in Houston. I think he was traded from Seattle to Houston, and he was in the process of writing a book in 69. Okay. And I read that book once when I was a kid. I don't know how old I was. Maybe I was 15. When it came out, it was famous. And if I'm not mistaken, there's an anecdote in there about Doug Rader. They call him the Red Rooster. There's another thing I call him, and that's the cake shitter. There was a birthday cake in the clubhouse for some reason, someone's birthday. I don't think it was his, and he shit on it. Okay? Look, I've done things in my life that have been impulsive, okay? But it never occurred to me to defecate in public on a cake, a birthday cake. And he was asked about this. Does that start to answer your question, by the way, JC? And he says he regrets that that's all people remember about him. He was a decent third baseman, a decent hitter, and sometimes with a little bit of power. I remember him on Houston. It's on Houston in '69. You had, Gibson, Carlton were both great. You had the expansion. You like it? Yeah. It's, oh, and by the way, going back to, it was the summer of love. Okay? And there was a lot of political things going on. And sure, the Vietnam was going on before and after. But this was the summer of love, and this was Woodstock. I was 11 years old when the season started, and then I was almost 12 by the time in October. But, maybe not quite, maybe 7 months, 11 years and 7 months when the Mets won it all. I'm in 6th grade. I am sort of a class clown. I'm a smart aleck. I am wild. I don't mean acting out aggressively or anything, but just in class, my teacher gave me my own 15-minute period every day to read my stories to the class. Can you believe that he did that? I would go home and write stories. I've always had a need to create, a creative urge. And it's kind of vague to me. I was in my own small little world, picking on a kid in school. And frolicking. I was actually in 5th grade when the season started, okay? And it's, the spring term of 5th grade in April when it starts, and then you go over the summer, and that was Woodstock. And of course, Nixon was in the White House, which was completely abhorrent. And here's some more from JC, because I got my schedule here. And I'm glad to be talking about Strat-O-Matic, and we're going 69. So he says, so this was the real beginning of your baseball fandom, ? The year you not only saw the game, but really understood it. I think I would say yes. What happened with me was I have vague memories of baseball being on TV. The night my parents had 2 tickets to see Koufax pitching against the Mets at Shea Stadium. That's like 65, 66. I'm 7 or 8 years old. I remember when Mantle got his 500th home run. I remember seeing that in the paper. That was, I don't know what year that was, 67. And I have a dim recollection of the 68 series between the Tigers and the Cards. But 69, at the time, I didn't follow it that closely because I was totally Beatles. And I was particularly sophisticated for a 11-year-old of my interest in the Beatles, and in particular, Lennon. Okay? Lennon blew my mind. I'm only 11 years old. I would talk about him at dinner. I would always find ways to bring him in to the conversation. And my father would just smile. I put his 8x10 glossy from the White Album on the cover of my loose leaf. I mean, there is, on the White Album, the song Julia is absolutely gorgeous. Her floating hair and her floating hair is shimmering. But when we went to 6th grade, and this, I really want you to get this, JC. When we went, we can have like conversation this way. When we went to, and you're sort of doing an interview on me now. When we went to 6th grade, I had 2 very close friends. Everyone was a Mets fan. We started school like September 3rd or something. Not like today where they start in August. And the Mets were in the pennant race. And it was just a Mets frenzy all around. And being part of the class following it. And I was really into that. Now, I didn't see all the World Series live because a lot of it I had to go to school and then run home to watch the last 4 innings or whatever. But it was enough for me to get some great stuff. The first couple games were on Saturday and Sunday, I believe. And I just looked that up. And I think that's the case. That's how I reminded myself. With a travel day Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the final games, were all school days, But by the way, now, to finish answering your question about fandom, after 69, when 70 came, that's when I really became engrossed with, you call it fandom. I started studying the history of baseball. I knew statistics. I knew who won every pennant. To this day, I can tell you, starting with about 1920, I don't know, 1926. I can go, and then I can't tell you after 1980. I could tell you a few, like 86, the Mets won it all, beat Red Sox. '84. Didn't the Tigers beat the Padres? I mean, I could tell you, I know the Reds. I just reminded yesterday with the game by Mr. Demos, uh, the '90 Reds. And I've been watching. The pandemic year, the Dodgers won it all on a cold strike three, and this year they won it all. Um, but I really, and I became totally a fanatic, and that's when I really started playing Strat-O-Matic. Same time period. Now, and if you have any other questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them. Um, I'm going to take a break for about 3 to 5 minutes. And when I come back, I'm going to be talking about my new plan to put all my replays on pause and engage in short projects. Short projects. I did end up making a bit of an outline after all, didn't I? JC on Sunday at 11, and Zelky a week from Saturday at 2 p.m. I'll be back with short projects and then talk about in particular, here's a short project. The Giants and the Yankees. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. I am now in the process of shifting from replay mode to short projects. And that's why I may wait a while before I even get the 1970s set. I'm into short projects, and that's why I just did the 69 World Series. Never did it. I've done the 1911. I've done the 64. And so I'm decided to go with the 62. And I haven't done 68. I could do 68. But I thought this would be an interesting World Series to do. And I guess it's feeding into my low frustration tolerance, my need for immediate gratification. And if that be it, maybe so be it. I'm going to start with the Giants, and I'm going to take a look at this team with you. And they won the pennant. They beat the Dodgers in a best-of-3 playoff. And here's Billy O'Dell. He had a high ERA, but, you know. Here's Bolin in relief. Sanford. Their ERAs on their pitchers is not that great. And they got Stu Miller in the bullpen. Really not that great. McCormick didn't pitch much. Billy Pierce was another. This was basically their rotation. And then they had Odell, Sanford, and Pierce. They also had Duffalo, 42 innings, mostly in relief. And Gaylord hardly pitched. Don Larson, used only in relief, had 86 innings. But again, not that great. But I'm forgetting one. Here's Marichal. Look at that lineup. And even Marichal had a high ERA for him, 3.36. The standouts on this team are, I guess I'll do it sort of in an order. Willie Mays, who had a career season, 304, 49 home runs, 141 at-bats, 621 at-bats, stole 18 out of 20. Orlando Cepeda, a 306 hitter. I'm going to move these off and show these to you fully. I'm not going to show you the advanced side. I'm just giving you a little sneak into the premier players. Harvey Keene, a 304 hitter, and he was their leadoff hitter, I believe. And if that's not enough for hitters, Felipe Alou, probably the best year of his career, 316, 25 home runs. McCovey only had 229 at-bats, but his home run ratio was awesome. And you have Hiller and Davenport had a great year. Davenport is a 297 hitter. And even Matty Alou hit 292. Jesus is not up yet with 195 at-bats. And the rest are, average or below average players. And that's basically the team. that you're going to have. This is a good hitting team. And that's why I guess they can have those pitchers with ERAs 3.5, and even Marichal 3.36, I think it was, and win the pennant. Now for the Yankees, what's interesting about this is this is the beginning of the end of the Yankee dynasty. They actually were quote unquote great teams this year, 63 and 64. But that was it. Ralph Terry is a 23-game winner. Phil Linz hit 287 and 129 at bats. Stafford is a regular pitcher. Boughton was hurt. Whitey Ford is their best pitcher. Their bullpen is not so great. And as far as their stars, that's why I think it's an exciting World Series. Stars and or people who did very well. You have Mantle, 321, 30 homers, only 377 at bats. He did walk 122 times, giving himself over 500 plate appearances, most likely. And he was MVP, believe it or not, with these numbers. 321 hitter. You could include Maris. This was the year after his 61 home runs. He only hit 256. He hit 269, I think, the year he hit 61. But he did have 33 homers and 100 runs batted in. Skowron was 270, 23 homers, 80 runs batted in. These are the best they have. Look at Boyer. A 1 at third base, 272, 18 home runs, a lot of consistency. Bobby Richardson had an incredible year, 302, 692 at bats. And a 1 at second base. Now, you know, you also have people in the lineup. Pepitone didn't play much. And I'm not showing a lot of players. Blanchard did hit some home runs, but he didn't play much. Tony Kubek was hurt. Only had 169 at bats. I'm not sure if he plays in this World Series. I'm going to wait to see. I should also include among the stars Elston Howard, because he's a 2 behind the plate, 279 average, 21 homers. He is a -4 arm. His T rating is 1 to 10, though. And that's about all the folks I'll tell you that I'd show you. You know, you have Ford, Terry. As far as the pitchers go, you have Whitey Ford, Stafford, if you want to include that he had 33 starts, and Ralph Terry as your main pitchers. And then they use others to sort of fill in the gap. So those are the 62 Yankees. And I think it is an pretty evenly matched. Probably the Giants offense has better numbers, but you never know what happens. So this is what I'm going to be doing. This is my next mini project, and I'm going to be doing nothing else. And I'm going to try to play all my games at 1 p.m. Eastern. So after this broadcast, I'm going to set up and commit to a 1 p.m. start for game 1. And for those of you who are interested, here we go. Game 1 is October 4th. The Yankees won it 6-2. It was in San Francisco. Attendance was 43,852. The start time for the game was 12 p.m. local. That's weird. And Kubek did play. And the pitchers for the game will be Whitey Ford for the Yankees and Billy O'Dell for the Giants. So I hope to catch you there, 1 p.m. Eastern. And otherwise, I'm going to try to play one game a day. And that's about it. That's about all my update. I'm not going to set up the lineups tonight. I had up front said that I may not be up to that. I don't think I'm up to that. I think I did a better job of ingesting no sooner than 5:58 p.m. Stay strong, everybody. Stay well. And I'll catch you next time, okay?